Welcome to the Northeast Kingdom Voice. I am your host, Scott Wheeler. This is part 2 of a 2-part series with 2 men who, between them, have played Santa for decades. Winston Carbonneau and Eugene Tessier. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having us.
And during part 1, I spoke about the reason I wanted to invite the 2 of you on. Actually, you've both been on my shows before, and Winston, you've even been on talking about playing Santa. But the reason I wanted both of you on is because you have one thing, two things in common. You're both Orleans County boys, but you're both combat veterans of Vietnam, and I just thought it was interesting that you both went on to play Santa because, as I said before, your generation of soldiers, of veterans, have been maligned a little bit in the news and in the media.
Yeah.
When I think you folks happen to be some of the best, and probably because of what you've been through. During the last segment, we spoke a lot about playing Santa. We spoke about your tours of duty. But here's the question. Have you ever slid down a chimney, Winston? I bet you've never done that.
What time?
Slid down a chimney.
Oh,
Come on, Santa goes down a chimney.
I'm telling you, it's slid down some chimneys, but I'll tell you what, you get stuck in nowadays, you try to do it. Yeah. Santa Claus is, I mean, that getting down the old chimney, all black.
And what was because you actually drove around playing Santa some.
Yes.
What was your sleigh? Because not all Santa doesn't always have a sleigh, apparently.
No,
what was your sleigh?
I had an Otter Cat.
Otter Cat snowmobile.
And it's called, and the first time they had a Santa Claus suit on. So I said, hell, I left the gun road, went up through the woods, and come out to the golf course. Driving around there in my suit and everything on, and pretty soon you see a bunch of kids running in, Santa. And that started you off right off.
Then you traded in you traded in your snowmobile for a Jeep, if I recall right, didn't you?
Yes. Well, when I played Santa Claus on the Glen Road, started out, and I went to this one person's house and just have a little sip. Just a little one, rolling on there. I know you all know it. And he said, I said, no, I can't no more. I got to, get small places. Just one more on the road. One more on the road, don't do it. I got fired at the gas station. I had to call Larry Lachito to come and get me. That's when it hit me.
And Santa had a hangover the next day, you were telling me.
Oh.
No, we also now, Gene, I know in Vietnam you slid down some tunnels.
Okay.
But did you ever slide down a chimney?
Nope.
So,
I made footprints on the roof. That's it. But that chimney getting awful dirty.
Yeah.
So,
but there was something on the news, you see, where this girl tried to be Santa and went down the chimney and they got stuck. It was on the news just last week.
Is that right?
Yeah. A 17-year-old and she got stuck.
I don't think she was thinking that thing through.
No, she wasn't.
So, do you know, I remember when you, Winston, when you used to play, when you used to be working, but playing Santa at the same time, when you were the Newport Police
Newport
Department,
City Police. Yeah.
you would. I remember hearing you on the scanner.
Yes.
Because even when you were on duty, you'd be ho 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 and.
Oh. We used to do that, myself and Bob Davio. We was all together on a cruiser, and we started singing on there too. And the cruiser said, "Hey, do you ever hear that? There's be people singing on there." There's another outfit from the that had to hear the police radio. So everybody says, "Did you hear that?" I said, "No." What, Bob? He said, "When you go back to the office, you can listen." Man, we were surprised, Bob Davy.
Yeah.
I don't know if you could do that. There's probably they probably take it way too seriously.
Now they do.
Yeah, they do.
Now they don't. They think they're God Almighty.
No.
I hate to say this. We ain't on the radio. But
Yeah, I know where you're. And Eugene, you're most people, when they think of you, they think Mr. Basketball, the founder and longtime leader of Border Hoop. How do they? How tall are you?
About 5'2", if I didn't train.
So how did you get? Because you think of basketball,
Yeah.
you think of tall people. How
Yeah.
did you get involved in basketball?
Because, I never was able to play basketball because I wasn't that good. Grew up in Brownington. We didn't have any gym, so the only basketball you played was out in the hay barn. No foul, no blood, no foul, and you couldn't play like that. Well, anyways, I just wasn't good enough to play, so that's, I just saw a lot of kids and didn't get a chance to play. So that's why I started a program. So kids, just to look back and when they got old and say, I played basketball.
Right.
I never made the high school team, but I did play basketball, organized, and I had a good time, and that's what I wanted to do.
And I think you said you came just a little bit too late onto the scene to have coached Steve Clifford.
Yes.
Because Steve Clifford is now the head coach
Yep.
of the Orlando
Yep.
Magic.
I used to watch him when he played at the high school.
Right.
When his father was coaching, because
Jerry.
Danny was the one that was my son's age,
Right.
so I got to see Danny play.
Right. And Jerry was the one who taught many of us
Yep.
how to drive. And
Yeah.
apparently something stuck because I have not even had a speeding ticket yet.
see,
And,
Don't ever say that. You can jinx yourself.
yeah, I've never.
We'll look for it and see if he gets a speeding ticket.
And I've never had
you're
it.
making me think about Shirley.
Yeah.
In her lifetime driving, you called the Department of Motor Vehicle. Nothing ever got stopped or anything.
Yeah.
Nothing on that records. You get your insurance. Well, what kind of tickets you get in these tickets, speeding, everything, when you get your insurance? She said, no, never got nothing. Well, I said, you never get speeding or nothing, no ticket, nothing. No, I said, all you got to do is call the Department of Motor Vehicle. They couldn't find nothing. She never did.
Right. Well, it was funny because a couple weeks ago, long story, I was with a reporter from NPR, John Burnett, and he was up here doing a thing on the border, and we got ourselves detained by the Canadians because I took a route that was always okay to do.
Yeah.
And it was like, next thing we know, we got blue lights, but I even walked out of that with grace. Never a speeding ticket, never nothing. So I'll leave here today. So when did you start playing Santa? Gene?
When I started driving school bus,
And when was that?
about 12 years ago.
Right.
I did it off and on, I used to, ride the bus or drive the bus and did it. And then when there's preschool, I used to ride their bus. But not as often as Winston did, Because I had a hard time with it, didn't know, because a lot of kids knew who I was.
Right.
And I would make sure I tried to disguise myself as good as I could, try change my voice or whatever, but they never really did notice who I was.
But I think it was just, it must have been fun. Besides that, you have to, to drive a bus, you must have to have nerves of steel.
Yeah, well,
because it takes a special person, I think.
It
but
does.
Kids are kids. I mean, I was a kid, and like I tell some of my kids, you can do anything you want on this bus. It's something I never did.
Right.
I mean, I did, so.
Well, did you ever drive? You've done a lot in your life. Did you ever drive bus?
No, but I'll tell you, you said that. Me and Harry Royer went down to Barton one day, take the driver's test, and then pass that. I got that at the bus station, all them buses there. I looked at that bus. I looked at Harry Royer and I said, I ain't going to drive that thing. No. I got in my car, went back home. I ain't going to drive that big bus. He said, no. I said, I don't care what you say. I will not drive that bus.
Right.
I went back home. It's the only thing I don't know what it was about the bus.
Yeah.
It's just that I just could not drive that bus.
Yeah, I think you had to have a special person, not only to deal with the kids, but then to deal with the road conditions and everything. But back to Santa. I don't know if you've been able to play Santa long enough to to have funny stories. Have you? Do you get anything that sticks out in your mind?
Yeah, when I was riding the bus and we stopped to pick up this little girl because I was playing Santa on a preschool. And she's running out, then she sees me, she turns right around and runs back in the house.
So did she come back out?
No, she wouldn't come back out.
Tell me, in this, I've seen your photos and that. In this politically correct time, does anybody ever complain about you being Santa
No,
on the bus?
no. Like I say, I drove one year.
Right.
And the whole time, they kept saying, that's Eugene, that's you. And I wouldn't say nothing. And one little girl, she said, is it really you? Are you really Santa? And now last year, she's a senior last year. And we talk about it still. She still didn't know.
Now tell me, were you, I think I went to the parade here, the night
Yeah.
parade where they had all the lighted vehicles. Were you on, was that your bus and you
Yeah.
was Santa?
Yeah.
Yeah, and how did that come about?
Mr. Kelly and Mrs. Kelly came and saw me.
Right.
Because they know I like Christmas. So
Right.
they said, can you get a bus in the parade? We can talk to everybody else, but nobody else want to do it, and I know you will. Sure, I said, I'll put a bus in, because I decorate my bus
Right.
during the year.
Right.
And so we did it.
Yeah, so you were the one Santa there. And but tell me, did you go? You probably didn't make it to the parade last week, did you?
No.
They had a parade where all the vehicles, ATVs, buses.
I
were
didn't
all,
make that one out.
Right, they were all. How did they? My wife asked me this, and I didn't have. I think I have the answer. How did you light up the vehicles?
We get a power converter.
That's what I always thought. Okay, that's what I told
And
her.
some of the newer vehicles already got the converter in them.
Wow.
And battery operated, some had little generators.
Right.
And
Right. Now, Winston, when did you? So you got back from Vietnam after seeing Santa Claus land in the combat zone, and you almost immediately became Santa, didn't you?
Yeah, that's one thing. I don't know. I just had that good feeling about playing Santa.
Right.
And when I did see these Santas coming off the choppers, that really sold me up on it then. Because you don't see Santa coming.
How many years did you do it for? 25 or 30 years?
Yeah, I did. Many, many years, about 30.
Right. You know,
And-
I've interviewed you a number of times. Well, I've written about your time,
Yes.
but you have a lot because of all those years. You have some funny stories.
Oh, yeah.
Tell the listeners about the time you got bit by a reindeer.
I was playing Santa Claus up there 'cause I had Christmas presents getting out. Larry Latour, I had all these kids and everybody bringing up different presents. Well, I pull up in my vehicle, dressed in Santa Claus suit, and I'm getting ready to play ho ho. As I'm getting out of my vehicle, I slammed the door. My hand was still in there. And I'm a whole horn, all turning red. The nurse happened to see it, kept running over to
Because
me.
you slit your hand open.
Yeah. and they was all red blood pressure. She brought me into the lab and told her to clean me up. You know, when the police had there to wrap it, all those years nurse.
Yeah.
And they had it for the, couldn't see no blood, nothing. They played the old Santa.
So
I
what
did
did-
slam my vehicle.
So what did you tell the kids? How come your hand? What did you say? How come your hand was all wrapped up?
And I said, well, one of the reindeers had got me, and I couldn't help my hand. It was all everything. So the nurse and they had to go in there and pick my hand a little bit. And of course, them kids, people, you know, the people.
Okay, which one was your favorite reindeer? Both of you. Do you have a favorite reindeer? Like when you're
Rudolph, I mean.
It's always Rudolph the red-nosed reindeer.
Yeah.
and
Sure.
did you ever go to the North Pole?
I've been up there. 511 Santa Claus Lane, North Pole, Alaska. Right there in Fairbanks, Alaska. And they
So
had the
you've been
Santa,
there?
yeah, and that was 511 Santa Claus Lane. And I gave some of those kids little things when I came back, tell them, here, write them. Had address on the cards from up there. And some did, I guess. Never heard them more, but that was pretty nice up there what they had.
So when did you? How come you retired from? How come you retired from playing Santa?
Well, my health-wise, my legs and my spine, I had operated on twice since Vietnam, and then I had to quit playing Santa because I used to yell my legs are today.
Right.
And getting up takes a little bit. And once I get up, I can walk, but you gotta
Yeah.
hold on or something and make sure somebody like he knows when
Yeah.
I was.
So carrying your bag around and riding in the sleigh, just was too much on you.
That was you really believe it.
And sliding down that chimney was.
That chimney was the worst. Could get a uniform all black.
So what are your plans for Santa? Do you just plan on keeping on doing what you're
Yeah,
doing?
you know,
Oh, yeah.
I'm planning to, to do one there, and then next week or so I'll ride the preschool bus maybe 2-3 times, and I don't really, people call me. They used to call me, and I say I was out busy, and it's just not quite what you call
Gotta be
feel
right.
real comfortable doing
Right.
it. I got to be in my little,
But you know what some people told me that when you're an actor though, and especially when you're dressed up, it's easier to become somebody. You have
Yeah.
to kind of like forget who you are,
Right.
and just
Play the part.
take that
Yeah.
role.
It's true.
Right. And also, I know you have quite the light display, and it's from reading on the online presence, it looks like you and Marsha and Bob Dishino.
Yeah.
Of course, you probably served with Bob on the police department.
Yeah, Bob Davio. Yeah.
Dishino. He worked for the Bob Dishino worked for the police department for a while.
Yeah.
And so tell me this is, since you're Santa, are you going to bring Marsha anything, or are you going to give her a lump of coal?
Oh man, a big lump of coal. I've known her way back from Glen Road days.
Oh yeah,
Up on the hill.
I've known her for years, and so that's how come I asked you whether she was gonna get something good or a lump of coal.
Yeah, a lump of coal is good for Marcia.
Yeah, because especially since she's trying to do battle with you on the light thing.
Yeah, her grandson rides my bus.
Right.
She's an instigator.
Oh yeah. So Tommy, over the years, do you think? Because, I think you hinted at this in a way, Gene, is. But do you think kids have changed that much? Because like I have a diary entry from like 1880. It was written by a woman around Charleston Island Pond border, and it was talking about the lazy young generation of today. That was 1880. And every generation looks back at the next generations and badmouths them. Do you think today's kids are really that much different than you were?
Yeah, I don't think today the parents don't have no discipline for some of their kids. A lot of them, I got usually 60 kids on my bus, and I got like 4 or 5 very, very disrespectful,
Oh, yeah.
And I always tell them, I said, I like to get treated nice, and you like to get treated nice, so you should have more respect for each other. And a lot of kids, but you look at their home, a lot of them from broken down homes, but yeah, disrespect. Not all of them. Don't get me wrong; they're not all like that, but a lot of it starts to home.
Right.
And you look at the parents, and you can see the rot don't fall too far from the tree.
What about you? You probably don't have a lot of us these days. You probably don't have a lot of association with kids, do you?
No, not more like I did.
Right.
But as time went by, of course, my body just not hold up no more like it was.
You being a leader because you were even a platoon leader.
Yes.
At one time, is back then you actually had to mold these young people.
You had to. If I asked you, are you afraid? You tell me, hell no, I'm not afraid. I don't want you with me. Because if you tell me you ain't afraid, you're gonna be in deep.
But I know your baby one of those, Winston, that you wouldn't ask anybody else to do it unless you would do it yourself.
Right.
And them are the guys you respected.
That's the one.
You respected those guys when they did that.
Because we had to cross this rice paddy once. That's when my steel pocket shot off my head. And I thought I just dropped it off. That I went back to the rice paddy after we got it all secured and had a bullet hole through that thing. And I said, whoo! But that's what happened. And if they say they're not afraid, they're crackers. Excuse me, Lord.
But so to you today, in the sense of being a veteran, is Winston, you have been very open, including on my shows and being guest speaker of some of the mental health issues you have faced with PTSD following the war. You've been on here. You've been on my radio show. You've spoken about it. Have years later now, since we've known each other, have you? It looks to me like you've come to terms with
yes.
your
Eventually, you learn to, I guess, cope with it.
Right.
More or less to say. I know how you would say it, but eventually it's been going on and on and on. You tell yourself, and somebody asked me about Vietnam or something, and if he asked me about it, I could talk to him because he know about it. But if you, and I didn't know you, and you didn't know me that much, you say, what about Vietnam? I probably should go find out yourself.
Yeah. But and you were saying that once you started talking about it, though, is when once the ghosts started you stopped being haunted.
It's true. Yes.
Right.
And
yeah, especially when somebody like you would ask us a question about Vietnam, and we would be good to answer you because we feel like you're interested.
Right.
But if you don't show no interest, then we just lock up.
They don't want to
know.
Yeah.
The heck with them.
Because I know. Yeah, because I know when you came to our event that our family hosted at Elksy a long time ago, and you were one of the guest speakers, Winston.
Yeah.
Is a lot of people until you spoke, Gene. A lot of people who didn't really know you. They knew you, but they didn't know you.
They
had
didn't
no
know.
idea that you were a Vietnam veteran because
you didn't talk about it.
Yeah, and I think what I have learned throughout the years is a lot of times people don't talk about it because they're not ever really asked.
That's true.
In the sense of, and that's how come I've gone out of my way to try to record some of your stories because I think the media narrative or the Hollywood narrative is not always becoming.
Mm-mm. I know when my son came, I guess when you was talking to us, remember? And all about whatever, of course he was asked. My son happened to come up, and in there, but we never said nothing out of the way.
Yep.
When he asked something, he was serious about everything. That came just right where you could talk to him and answer. But somebody would say something on there, and you know what he's digging to do.
Because I try to remember when I got home,
Hard.
you know, and my friends, I cannot ever remember one of my friends or people I hung out with say, how was it there? I can never remember that.
No.
Maybe it happened, but we're talking 50 years ago.
You
Maybe I
can't
kind
remember?
of forgot.
No.
But I can never remember anybody saying, you know, you want to talk about it. Never.
No.
I can remember.
I know, and you know, to a degree, that happens today because, especially, there's a young woman who's been on my show, Nicole Conley, I believe it's Barton, and she was an MP 3 tours in Baghdad, where she was actually in combat.
Yeah.
And she said, and she talks about you come back home, and especially as a woman, where there's very few other people have, as a woman particularly, who have experienced things that she has experienced, and you're expected just to move on like it was the
Yep.
same, but you're not the same.
No, you're not.
And you've seen things. You've seen things that other people just can't understand. And you know, I don't know about you. Did you do any writing while you were in?
Yeah, I wrote, and I had like a little diary that I wrote in, you know, not every day.
This
you know.
guy was a
Yeah.
Ernest Hemingway in Vietnam. You recorded a lot of your thoughts.
Yeah.
As because I have his whole
diary.
I was just talking to him about he's written just reams, and he wrote, and I commend you too, because he wrote about the gnarly things of Vietnam, even the questions that you have in your own minds.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, that's-
yeah, he you know, just going through this, and but
I
what we're-
wish I would have done that, you know, kept track of stuff. But all I had on my mind, one more day gone, one more day
It's
gone.
true,
We had to
yes.
just X that out just to get out of this place.
And the
Yeah.
shorter your time comes,
Yeah.
is that's when you're going to get it.
Yeah,
And
you get
you're
nervous.
I want to go home.
Yeah,
And normally, your
yeah,
first sergeant or somebody else tried to, let's see, you only had a couple months left to do there. Send them back to the rear and try to keep them back there. Hard rates will go home.
yeah.
But at other times, they don't do that.
I always say if your time is here, it don't matter where you are.
Yeah.
So we're just about ready to wrap up. Do you think, though, as Vietnam, do you think being Vietnam veterans influenced you not only to play Santa Claus, but you're both community spirits. You both have spent your entire lives since your military service giving back. Do you think Vietnam influenced you, Winston? As in to be a better person, to try helping people,
Right,
to
with
brighten people.
They, like that in North Country High School, they called me and wanted me to talk
Yeah,
on Vietnam. Some of the kids in there don't even know what that is.
right.
And they said, would you mind coming over? I said, John, I'm about to go over there. And these kids are serious. They don't know.
No.
They never heard of it.
No. So do you think it's made you a better person now?
I think so. But in a way, yes. And to you, it makes you feel like you're better.
Right.
And not totally, but I'm just saying. It's just some of the things you're doing and what you could do for the children today, and they ask you, they don't know what the hell you're talking about.
No, they don't.
They don't. When I had to go to that school over in North Country twice, they called me. And I had film and everything, and I could show them that I had taken.
Oh, I know. What about you, Gene? Do you think you would have lived the exact life you have lived? Because you are a community spirit. You are Mr. Basketball and, Mr. Christmas. Do you think that helped mold you to some degree?
I think it did, because when I went in the service, I was wild, didn't care about anything.
No, really.
And
Yeah.
I think the service kind of gave me a wake-up call, especially Vietnam.
Oh, yes.
I mean, some of the stuff that, I saw and stuff, it just kind of made me realize that, you know what, if I can get out of this place, I'm gonna, do right, and not do right, but give myself be thankful I'm alive, and yeah, I think, I don't know why I started getting into the basketball program and dealing with kids. I think I did it when I started. I think I was just going to do it for a couple of years
Right.
because my kids were in it. And 25 years later, I was still in it.
Yeah.
And I think it feels good to do something for somebody, and when they appreciate it.
Right,
It really, like the Christmas delights I do, I enjoy doing it. I'd like to see kids say, God, we have fun when we go up there and look at that. It just makes me feel good, and that's why I like doing it.
Yeah.
Okay, I guess we're just about ready to wrap up. It was great having 4 men on our show. We had Winston and we had Gene, but we also had Santa Winston and we had Santa Gene.
Right.
So I also want to thank both of you for your service.
Thank you.
And I have the utmost respect for both of you men, and so thank you for coming on.
Well, thank you very much for having us,
And
Scott.
thank you for having us on.
Yes,
Yeah,
thank
it
you.
was my pleasure.
And thank you to the viewers for tuning in to another segment of the Northeast Kingdom Voice.